but it was also more like a mental just wanting, like a craving. Like I'm miserable and depressed because like I've fucking ruined our life, and we're here in this little 2-bedroom apartment where we just had a house a couple months ago. And it was just that pity party, and just, again, not wanting to feel it, not wanting to, pick myself up and just do better. It was just like, just medicating myself so I didn't have to deal with it and face it, you know?
Yeah.
So then I was out roaming and I fell asleep. I was trying to get back to my dad's one day, fell asleep in the car, and I got knocked on the window by the cops. So I had the third DUI I had. I didn't show up to court, so I had a warrant out for it. I get picked up on a fourth DUI now. Yeah. And so I go to jail. I got to deal with both cases now. Long story short, I get sentenced to, I think it was like 15 months. And it was because like in California, your fourth DUI is an automatic felony charge.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Hey everyone, just want to welcome you to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan, and want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by SoberStrong Apparel. SoberStrong Apparel is not just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. I love repping this brand. I love that they sponsor this show. It's an amazing clothing company. The quality is incredible. They represent recovery. And 10% of every purchase goes to recovery facilities. So please check out SoberStrongApparel.com. Use code ROCKBOTTOM for 15% off. It used to be 10%, now it's 15%. So check it out. They've got a bunch of good stuff, t-shirts, hoodies, banners, hats, and now they just came out with a new jogger, a quarter zip. So there's a lot of great stuff you can check out, a lot of great options, and it looks good, it's stylish, and it represents the fight that we're having in recovery right now. So if you're in recovery, or if you know somebody that's in recovery, or if you're sober curious, or just support the cause and feel the mission, then definitely check out SoberStrongApparel.com. I appreciate everybody who listens to this show. Thank you for supporting my favorite brand. Check out SoberStrongApparel.com. Use code ROCKBOTTOM, all one word, capital letters, for 15% off. Enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with my guest today, Nick. Nick, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited to have you on today. I've been looking forward to it. So since this is a recovery podcast today, so we're going to talk a little bit about your story when it came to addiction and your ultimate recovery. But we'll start off by just asking a couple basic questions. What was your sober date? Where are you from? And what was your drink or drug of choice?
Cool. So sober date is May 5th, 2022. From San Fernando Valley, California, Los Angeles for like people outside of California. And drink of choice pretty much was whiskey and beer mainly, but then it got to a point where it was just anything, I could get my hands on. And then drug of choice was cocaine. I got introduced to that like around 21. So yeah.
And went hand in hand with alcohol too?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Had to.
Yeah, same. That's around when I got introduced to it too. And yeah, it was basically a battle of coke and alcohol for a solid 8 years there.
Yeah, it was like cocaine will allow me to drink more. Please sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. I know it. So yeah, let's kind of backtrack into your early days. What was life like growing up? What was your family dynamic and all that stuff? Like before you started using?
So yeah, I had a really good childhood actually. Both parents in the house. We were really involved in sports at an early age. My dad was at every sporting event. He coached all throughout my childhood and up until like high school. So, but there was a lot of, my background is German, Irish, and Salvadorian. And my mom's stepfather was the family that we grew up with, and they're Colombian. So a lot of family parties were geared around drinking. And so drinking was always around, like, no matter what the event was. And so it was kind of a normal thing that I grew up with, and it's like my idea of drinking was fun, a celebration. And And the parents, like, nobody, we didn't really have family members that were alcoholics, maybe drank alcoholically, I would say, but never, it was never an issue where there was trauma or anything. So I was like the black sheep of the family when it came to that. So, so
How
from
many
there,
siblings did you have?
I had just one brother, younger brother, 2 years younger than me, who, yeah, he didn't catch the bug.
But you think some family members may have been alcoholics, you just didn't know it, or
Yeah, I
just
think so. I think, like, I remember, like, vividly, like, my grandmother, like, at a house party that she threw, like, at the end of the night, she's just sitting in front of the speaker, just throwing back Budweisers by herself and, like, stuff like that. Like, as a kid, like, you see that, and, like, going through what I've gone through and being an adult, I'm like, it's probably not normal, So,
yeah,
but I didn't have, like, when I say, like, I was the black sheep, like, drugs and alcohol were the only, like, maybe a distant cousin, but, like, me in particular was the only one in the family that it, like, really affected
yeah.
my life and my family's life.
So when you took your first sips of alcohol, do you think it was, looking back, was
Eh,
it during one of those parties or something?
it was slightly after. So my parents bought their first house in Selma, Tahunga, when we were about maybe 10 at the time. And I remember exactly, like, my parents had a bottle of Arbor Mist. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like a
Mm.
wine cooler, but it's in a big bottle and it looks like juice. And it was in the back of the fridge. So one night, I had the idea of, like, I'm gonna try this. And I took, like, a sip of it. And I'm like, oh, it tastes like juice. That was really cool. I forgot what age I was. I must have been maybe 11, 12, and I liked it. So then I go back to my room, I come back and I sip it some more, but then I start feeling the effect and that, like, cool little, like, head change, body change. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And so then it progressed to, like, I would spend the night at my grandparents' house and there would be, like, Jack Daniel's wine coolers in the fridge. I was like, I know what that is. So, like, I cracked one open and, like, threw it back. And then, at the family, friend, parent parties, like, the dads are in the garage playing cards, drinking beers, and it's like, hey, go get me a beer. Like, I'll give you $1, and then it's like, before you open it, you take a little sip real quick just to see what it's about. So I had little exposures to it like that, just very innocent being around
Yeah.
it as a child. So
Do you remember your first buzz and how you felt doing that?
yeah, so that was, like, my first, like, instance with drinking. And then fast forward to high school, it was my junior year, and I had made the varsity team prior season, and I was with all the seniors, and we went to a bonfire at the beach. And on the car ride over there, we had this one, like, hang around guy, and he was, like, the partier, and he had a bottle of Jose Cuervo and lemon lime Gatorade, and they thought, like, I mean, they didn't think anything, but I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try it. So I threw that back, and long story short, like, I get plastered. So they're babysitting me on the beach. I'm talking shit to, like, can we cuss? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. Cuss all you want. This show's all about it. So.
So I'm talking shit to, like, this, like, group of other younger, like, black guys, thinking like they're like our rival basketball team or something. And I'm like, we're gonna fuck you up this season, like, blah blah blah. So they, like, one of my teammates punched me, put me in the car, take me to back to my dad. My parents are separated at the time. Take me to my dad's house, and he's having a fucking poker night with his buddies drinking, and I come in like, Dad, I popped my cherry, like, just plastered. And so I woke up the next morning, like, embarrassed the hell out of my dad. And I think I had, like, a English essay paper I had to write. So I was, like, all hungover, just writing
Damn.
my paper. So that was like the, oh man, I love this feeling. This is really
Yeah.
cool.
The hangover
So
didn't scare you away from it or anything?
I wish it would have. I wish it would have, but it was like, I was, like, in this, like, mentality of, like, this is what high school's about. This is, like, we're partying, we're the jocks, like, king of the school kind of thing. And yeah, so, like, my ego was, like, starting to gear up and really kick off
What sport were you varsity in?
a basketball.
Basketball. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Point guard or shooting
Yeah.
guard
Point
or
guard.
cool.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, my first buzz, I remember it was junior year as well, and I
Mm-hmm.
was sipping on a 40 of Mickey's.
Mm-hmm.
the liquor or whatever. And some guys next to me like we're playing some game or like got into some kind of altercation. And as I was feeling my first buzz, I was like, I am in love with this stuff. And then I'm in the middle of chugging it and somebody's elbow goes into the bottle, which goes straight into my mouth. And so I spend the rest of the night just my first buzz, just blood coming out of my mouth, tooth chips. I'm just like, oh, great. Well, this is a good first buzz. But I wish that would have stopped me from drinking. But
did you have the idea? Did you have the idea to keep drinking to numb it?
Nope. I stopped for the night there, and then I drank only like a few times in high school altogether. But every
same.
time for some reason turned out to be something bad. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
But didn't really kick in until college. So what happened with how did your drinking kind of pick up after that?
So I like you, man. I had like instances where like I'd go to these house parties in high school, drink, do those Nas balloons that were all around the parties, and and then just every night it was like a blackout. So I was a blackout drinker, and it continued into my adulthood. But so during that time, like my parents were separated. They had a really messy breakup, and it was kind of like out of left field from my mom's side. And so as an adult, I realized the effects that it had on me. I didn't realize back then, but my dad working nights, both parents in different houses now, it gave me a lot of freedom, in high school and in the evening. So like I kind of had the free range to do kind of whatever the hell I wanted. So
was your parents separating affecting you quite a bit, do you think, looking back at it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it was, not in a direct way. I would think just having the freedom, and then my mom and my dad, they were like in their probably like more around my age right now when they separated. I'm 35. So I think they were like 36, 37 maybe. Yeah. So my brother was, me and my brother were 16 and 14, I think at the time, or maybe 15 and 13. So just having that freedom, man, it was like, we were just running amok. I was running amok. And so that really, was like my real big experience with like experimenting with stuff. And I think there was one time my friend was telling me I took like a pill or something from this other guy and blacked out. And I woke up at my dad's house in the shower with paramedics, like trying to resuscitate me and stuff like that. So there was like all these like little, like God shots, but I didn't realize that they were then back then like, hey dude, you might need to have this in check. So I think it really kicked off like, so that was like the catalyst like that time. And then just not having like, I think the two parents there and like that played a contributive factor. I don't fault them for it, cause they're going through their own thing and trying to figure it out. And my dad like just started a new career at a studio, at Universal, and his wife left him, so it's a lot. And me and my brother were living there. So I don't fault my dad. He's trying to deal with his own things. You don't know what you don't know. So there's no roadmap to parenting, as I've learned. I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was that. So I had like this like middle school sweetheart, like that back then I thought was like, my forever, woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. So we moved out of town or out of city, and we kind of kept in touch a little bit. Then all throughout high school, didn't keep in touch, but towards the end in senior year, she was single, I was single, and we got back in touch on MySpace. Long story short, like we got back into it, like fell in love, like deep love. Like this is the one that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. So during that relationship, it's like a 5-year relationship. During that relationship, like there would be instances of partying and drinking in excess that kind of was like not normal, and really was like, okay, I need to really think about what I'm doing here. So the signs were there, but I was just ignoring them. I had started my career at 18 in Universal Studios, and making that type of money back then for me at like 18, I was a kid in the candy store, because it was like all my friends are in college and I'm over here, at 18 making $18 an hour back in 2008, so
yeah, good money.
It was a lot of money back then. So that I think played a big role into, me, the cliche, more money, more problems kind of things.
Yeah.
So then, this is around 20 years old or 21. I'm with the same girl. Everything's good. Like the drinking hadn't been like, there was no episodes where it was like, wow, like this is really bad, until I had my first DUI. And then things were getting kind of like rocky between us. So we made a decision to look into buying a house together. So we were going to buy a house. Like my basketball high school friend, teammate was a realtor at the time. So we employed him to be our realtor. During that process of looking for a house, we went, signed papers at a restaurant, drinking, came back, drank more at her parents' house. And I woke up to them walking into the game room where I had passed out on the couch. And it was kind of weird. And I was just like, well, that's like, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, so and so wanted to see the house. So I was just showing them the house. Okay, cool. So then, like, like a month later, or maybe a couple weeks, like, I don't know where my girlfriend's at. And I I get a phone call from another teammate of mine, like, hey, they've been seeing each other, So that, like, for
Yeesh,
me,
yeah.
that was like a really like big heartbreak, obviously, but it was just like a really bad time because I didn't have the parent, like my parent, two parent household, like, to lean on for support because they're still going through their shit. And so
Yeah.
I was just kind of there to fend for myself. And
Felt very alone.
yeah, so I was just like devastated. And so
And your first heartbreak, you just never know how to comprehend it,
yeah,
especially
at all. Yeah. So it was just drinking. Like, that was my go-to. Like, I wanted to not feel anything. I didn't want to feel the pain. I didn't want to feel the heartbreak. And I didn't know how to navigate life at that point. So I threw myself into work and drinking. Like, so I started advancing my career, and, that turned into starting to drink on the job and
what type of career, what kind of work was it?
post-production for the film
Okay.
industry. So, and I was working like a swing shift. So it was like late at night. So, like, during the day, like, all my friends that are in college and back home from college, like, we're partying and drinking all day. And then I'm scrambling to try to get a couple hours of sleep before I got to go start my swing shift. So I'm showing up to work still drunk, still, hungover, what have you. And so the end of that career there at Universal, so I got invited to, are you familiar with The Office, the TV show, The Office? So I get invited to the wrap party for that. So at the end of every season, the production puts on a big wrap party for the crew, cast, everybody. Well, this was like the ending show. Like, this was like season 10, like, the show's over. We're going to have a big wrap party. I get invited to that. And my dad, remember so vividly, like, my dad was like, look, you're going to have fun, but this is still a company, like, this is still a company party. Don't fuck around. There's going to be alcohol. Don't fuck off. Cause he's already known me from my episodes. So I go there and it's open bar. I get fucking just wasted. There's a big montage of like all 10 seasons at the end of the party. The whole cast, the crew, everybody's there watching it. And all you hear is like this big crash. Like, it's dead silent. All you hear is this big crash, and you turn back and it's Nick falling into this big, like, photo booth thing for people to, like, take pictures at. And the
Party foul, man.
the entire room just turns and looks, and I'm in and out of blackout. And I remember that. And so I call my
Steve
brother.
Carell there cracking jokes at you.
Yeah, it's like, it was such a mess. So anyway, long story short, I get pulled into HR like the following week. I get the union involved, and I skate past that, right? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm cool. I get laid off. And then later that summer, as a direct result from that, but it's, but they won't say like, oh, it is that. It's just work related. So that just kind of threw me down another, like, oh, poor me, like, not taking any accountability or anything like that. It was more just blaming my situation with my ex, blaming, the feeling of being alone. It was never any accountability of like, no, dude, like, you have a drinking issue. Like, that's where it's at. So I was still in denial, and I deserve to drink and have fun because I didn't go to college. I started my career, and, so I just kept making excuses after excuses. So then, like, for the next year or two, year and a half, it was just a lot of just episodes of like a lot of things that happened with like totaling trucks, getting into little wrecks, hitting shit while I was drinking and driving. It was a lot of stuff, that came up that I still was just like in complete denial. So then I met my got in touch with my current wife. This was about 12 years ago. I'm so like with my timelines, I'm all over the place.
No,
So forgive
it's
me.
fine. It's hard to remember everything.
Yeah. So we met, and that was like a really rocky like start to. We were seeing each other. I known her from high school, but we never like talked really in high school. She was just out of a relationship, said that she wasn't seeing this guy. Then so we were dating, and like I had already been through like a couple of relationships in between her and my ex, and I never shook the heartbreak, and I never healed from that. So all that trauma just carried over to every single relationship up until this point. And so I thought like, oh man, this must be like special because I don't have any like thoughts of this other ex-girlfriend, and that trauma kind of seems like it's gone, which, I think I just replaced it. I didn't really deal with it and process it. So I dragged her through some stuff, and then, she told me that, she ended up coming clean and telling me that she was seeing this other guy. So, her ex, so then we separated for a little bit, and again, another little heartbreak that I had to deal with. And it was just like trauma after trauma after trauma. So then my go-to was drink again. This time I was introduced to Coke. And so it was just all that. So it just kept snowballing, dude. It was one thing after another, never really dealing with any type of trauma, never processing anything, just trying to medicate and not feel anything. So it just kept carrying over. So then once we finally separated, we, you know, took care of our own stuff, got back together. For like the next 8 years, uh, it was just we're dealing with Nick's alcohol, and then we're having kids, which I don't
Mhm.
suggest anybody anybody to
Yeah,
do if you're dealing with stuff. It's
not a good combination.
not a great combination. It's I was still, they say like when we start drinking, that's like our maturity level. So I feel like I was still like a 16-year-old mentality, at 20, 22, 23, or I was 26 at the time. So when we had our first kid. So yeah, I still had that, 16-year-old mentality, and I was still trying to party and have kids, and just taking her through hell. So around the time that we had our second child, I just got a new studio job. Within a couple months, we bought a house. And again, the whole ego thing like came back into play. Now it's like, okay, I got the house, I got the beautiful wife, two kids, like, I'm on top of the world, and my ego was so huge at the time. And at this time I'm the sole provider, and so things were going good. But again, I meet some coworkers at night that also do like to party. So we start drinking and using at the job site. And so it turned in, and then I got introduced to a poker house up in the Burbank Hills. So it would be like maybe 2 days, 3 days out of the week, we wouldn't even really work. We'd come show face and then start partying. We go to lunch, start partying, drinking, and then, hey, let's go to the poker house. And then we would go play poker until, the next morning. And at that time, it's like my wife is at home, doesn't know where the hell I'm at. I've turned off my phone. I've fucking just gone MIA, and she's poor girl is like sitting there miserable, like wondering where I'm at, just mind fucking herself, trying to take care of two kids. And it was just a mess, dude. And so at that point, I had had another DUI already. So there was two on my record. And then it just really picked up pace. So at one point I came to work plastered, like fucked up. I was doing lines of coke on the way in, like on my phone while we're driving, drinking Crown Royal with my coworker because he lived a little further than me, and so he picked me up on the way. Anyway, I show up to work. I start like trying to massage one of the secretaries, like in front of everybody. I start talking all this shit, like trying to be cute, Mr. Funny Guy. Somebody reported me. I get pulled into HR. I end up getting fired for that. And again, another snowball effect. Like poor Nick, no accountability again after all that. And quickly after, we had to sell the house because I wasn't able to, make the payments. And so now we're in an apartment now. And again, feeling miserable. I got another job, but it was not anywhere near the pay I was getting when I was at the major studio. And then again, I get picked up on a third DUI. Now, and at this point, I had already totaled the truck, so I was using my wife's car. So that's even more of like a Jesus, like, there's like just disgusting behavior.
Yeah.
um, so I got the third DUI, and
Do you remember what
now
you blew on these DUIs?
it was most of them. I think most of them were like double the legal limit, probably every
Yeah.
time. I think, if I
Yeah.
can remember, my last DUI was back in 2019. So it's been a little bit of time. So at this point, we had our third child at this point in the apartment. She was about a month or two old, and I'm still out there fucking, I'm drinking during the day. I'm still trying to, make it to work because I was working nights, drinking at work, seeing what bars I could go to during work and score. Um, and then eventually, I, it was just mostly was just drinking and trying to like maintain day to day and using. So then,
Do you think you were suffering from any like actual alcohol dependence where you're waking up with the withdrawals and drinking in the morning and stuff like that? Or was that kind of stuff
not
happening?
so much physical. I never like experienced more of the physical, like, withdrawal like I needed to. It was just more of like I guess there was the addiction aspect of it, of like a physical addiction to it. But it was also more like a mental just wanting, like a craving, like I'm miserable and depressed because like I've fucking ruined our life, and we're here in this little 2-bedroom apartment where we just had a house a couple months ago. And it was just that pity party, and just again not wanting to feel it, not wanting to, pick myself up and just do better. It was just like, just medicating myself so I didn't have to deal with it and face it, you know?
Yeah.
So, so then I was out roaming and I fell asleep. I was trying to get back to my dad's one day, fell asleep in the car, and I got knocked on the window by the cops. So the third DUI I had, I didn't show up to court. So I had a warrant out for it. I get picked up on a fourth DUI now. Yeah. And, so I go to jail. I got to deal with both cases now. Long story short, I get sentenced to, I think it was like 15 months. And it was because like in California, your fourth DUI is an automatic felony charge. So it was like an automatic felony sentence. So I had to serve like, it was like 15 or 16 months sentence on the felony charge, but it was going to be served in the LA County. Like I didn't have to go to prison for it. So I ended up doing 6 months on that in the county. Yeah.
Wow.
So left my wife alone with, 3 toddlers or 2 toddlers under 5 at this time, and a newborn. And that was like the most humbling experience for me. That was like my first real interaction with God for me. And that was probably the first time like I actually picked up any type of like recovery literature and like actually read and kind of got into it a little bit. And then so my wife had told me, I call her my wife, but she's my fiance, but
Mhm.
so she had told me like, I'm done. Like this is not what I want for my life and the kids. And so I was dealing with all that, like holding on to hope that maybe if I get through this, get out of jail, stay sober, like we can get back together. So 6 months go by, I get out, we get back together, things are good. And I'm thinking like in my head, I'm like, I just served 6 months, no alcohol, no drugs. Like I'm good. I'm cured. Like this is fun. Mind you, I've had like with the DUIs, I had court orders to go to AA and stuff. And again, I never like gave it a real opportunity. I was just there because, it's a court sentence. So it is what it is. Like I wasn't ready to listen to the message or anything. So I get out, and within like 3 months, I start dabbling with weed, and like, this isn't as bad. So I started doing the weed, and then I found they had marijuana drinks. So I started doing the marijuana drinks. And again, like that obsession and that craving started to creep back in. And within like, within a couple of weeks from that first little marijuana drink, like I was out drinking beers again, and then,
Yeah, it's kind of that they call it the gateway and all that, but it's like once you start doing something mind altering, it starts to justify doing other things, it seems
yeah.
like.
Exactly. So that snowballed again. And then COVID came around and the shutdown, and I threw myself into alcohol heavy then. And then the final straw for my wife was I forgot what she was, but I was home with the kids, and I was all I was drinking, but then I got really shitty and I jumped on Instagram and posted some story of like me like just mumbling and making a fucking fool of myself. I have family on there. So we were living at her parents at the time. And so her mom saw the video and like told my wife, like, get him the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want him in our house, blah, blah, blah. So I get kicked out. I go to my dad's, and at this point, like we're co-parents and we're just trying to manage. We get back together again, and it was like a lot of back and forth for like a good year of like trying to get sober and trying AA, and it was on Zoom, so that's because the whole shutdown. And so there was the back and forth, and then we were like we were living together again at her parents, but like not together. So like if she needed time alone for whatever, like I would leave her, I would take the kids. The things were starting to open up again, so we could go out, and so I would take the kids and leave her to the house or wherever she needs to go. So I was just getting this weird feeling. So I came back to the house one day, and I come into the house, and her and this other dude are sitting on the couch talking, just talking. It wasn't nothing crazy. So I like lost it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, I thought we were trying to fix this. And so for the next year, it was like a whole bunch of like love triangle shit. Like, she's like dangling the carrot. Like, if you can get sober, like, we can get back together. I'm not seeing anybody. But then I would catch that she's seeing this dude, and then again, I would relapse, and I was trying to work a program, and I was trying to get sober, but every time I would catch her, it was like, fuck. And then I would relapse. So it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to listen to what these guys in AA are telling me and just let go of the relationship and focus on my sobriety and the kids. And I started doing that, dude. And like, so for a year of trying to get my family back together, get my wife back, and trying to get sober while still holding on to this other job that I got, it was just that I couldn't balance everything. So I had to finally just like acknowledge that, okay, whatever is going to happen is going to happen in the relationship. Let it go for now and just focus on your sobriety and the kids. And as soon as I did that, dude, like shit started to like click, like things just fell into place. Like I started slowly, like the relapsing or the slips, like that wasn't a factor anymore. Like anytime I got like hit with some like heartbreaker shit, or I would just go straight to the gym and work out and pick up the phone, call somebody. And I finally got it. And it was around 6 months of sobriety that she reached out and was like, look, like, I know I hurt you. I did my shit, and I'm doing therapy now. I'm not seeing anybody. Like, I want to give this a real solid chance. Cause she acknowledged and she could see that, like, no matter
You're
what
really
happens
putting
to Nick
effort
right
in.
now, he's not fucking up anymore. Like, this is what he wants. So, yeah, dude, we ended up getting back together, and she did therapy. Cause she comes from a lot of trauma too, like codependency and abandonment and stuff like that. So I always like joke, like God, like put the right person in my life, because I don't think
Mhm.
anybody like that doesn't have their own stuff like that, like could deal with all the shit that I put her through.
Yeah. Well, she sounds great.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, we made it work and, got back together. Um, I had got it, the company I'm with now, I got, a little after we got back together. And another, like, for me, it was like a godsend, because it was like, I don't even remember applying to this company. Um, it was like 90% remote, so I could stay home with the kids, and my wife was starting nursing school. So it was just like, for me, it was like, dude, this is exactly what recovery has been promising. If I just like put recovery and sobriety first, like things fall into place. And like, I got back with my wife. I got this remote job. I'm here for the kids. She gets to go to school. She became a nurse. And then, within like, yeah, things just started to fall into place, dude. And then, so we
Good.
bought our second house last, June. We just had our fourth child this past September. And
Congratulations. That's
thank you,
awesome.
man. So yeah,
You've
dude.
been
And
sober
like,
3.5 years now, about a little over.
yeah, 3 years and 9 months, to actually 3 years and 9 months yesterday.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
would you say, looking back, your rock bottom was just kind of when you lost her, you were staying back at your dad's and all that stuff? Yeah.
100%, dude. It's like, I share on social media a lot too. I think a couple times, but that's what I tell people. It was like it wasn't the totaling of my trucks, wasn't the major studio career jobs that I've lost, wasn't even jail, and unfortunately, it was like not even my kids were enough when I was in my shit. At least for them, you would think like, fuck, just get it together for them. It wasn't any of that. It was like, I mean, at the end, it was losing her, but like losing that family dynamic and being separated and not being able to come home to my wife and the kids and having to sleep in my bed alone. It was all that. Yeah, dude, it was really tough because during that time too, my work commute was an hour and a half one way. So it was like 3 hours driving, come pick up the kids, hang out with them for a couple hours and take them back to her place, and then I'm left at night to my fucking own vices. And, so it was
Yeah.
like a lot of days I was in the gym in the morning and then drop the kids off. And then I would go right back to the gym and, call somebody. And so it was a lot, man. It was like crash course and like pick your heart, like, do you want to deal
Yeah.
with this right now and just fucking man up and deal with that pain and get through it? Or do you want to keep holding yourself back? So, but it was
It's
all
awesome
worth it,
that
man.
you
My life today is it's incredible. Like I almost feel undeserving for all the shit, that I've put my wife and the family through. So
you get see, and you got through your probation and all that, and DUI, got your license, all that.
yeah, so I last year, I forgot when, but last year I completed all the classes and everything, and that was like a 30-month program you had to do, and it's a pain in the ass, a lot of money, and
Yeah, I
so
had
yeah,
one, and that was a big enough pain. So I was just
yeah,
can only imagine what 3 or 4 would do. Yeah.
yeah, four, it's not fun.
Yeah, no, I get it. So what other what was like your first, you said it was about 6 months sobriety when she kind of came back and, took you back in and wanted to kind of restart the relationship again.
Mhm.
What was that first 6 months like? Were you working towards that goal as like as a reward to kind of like think, "Hey, maybe if I do get this on track, she'll come back,"
No,
or
like I said, like I let go of the idea that I was gonna be like we were gonna be together. Like I had to come to terms of that because if I was just doing my recovery for that purpose, I don't think I would have kept it. I had to accept that that was a reality that, we wouldn't be together, but like, who do I want to be for myself and the kids at this point? Like, do I want to be this piece of shit MIA father that is selfish and self-centered, or do I want to, do I want to take this horrible, horrible learning lesson and be better? So
yeah. So you're doing it for all the right reasons, just to better
yeah,
yourself and to be a better dad and be able to co-parent and all that
yeah,
stuff. And then, so unexpected rewards kind of happened once you
yeah,
got
yeah.
sober.
They were just blessings, man. And they told me in the recovery rooms, like, that's what was going to happen. I didn't believe it.
I know
I
I
didn't
didn't
fucking
believe that
believe it.
stuff either. Hearing all those stories, and you walk into those recovery rooms, whether it's rehab or AA or something, and you
Yeah.
just start to see all these people talking about all the success and that all the good that'll come. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, at first, I was like, screw this,
Yeah.
none of that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it starts to just actually happen, and your
Yeah.
life starts to change, and it's like things get easier, things get
Yeah.
better. So I've never heard of anybody's life getting worse getting sober.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
At your worst, how much do you think you were drinking and consuming drugs and alcohol?
Like the main rock bottoms, it was like every day. It was like 2 to 3 buzz balls a day, probably like a 6 pack of beer.
I used to like those buzz balls.
Yeah. I fucking love those things. They were like,
Yeah.
they
I
were
would just
just,
drink them in one sip and I'd be like,
yeah.
man, I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're fucking, oh, dude, like at work, there's a liquor store down the street. I would go just to, yeah, get back up and function, you know,
Yeah.
or even to drive. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's like, I got to get home. I need something to fucking keep me up, you know?
And a lot of the money going to cocaine too. Were you buying like a gram a
Yeah.
day or something?
Well, in the beginning, I had a friend, his mom was my babysitter as a kid, and he's like 10 years older than me. He went to prison, and when he got out, like he was starting to like be in that business. So I was getting it fairly cheap back then. But yeah, after that was done, it was like, yeah, it was a lot of money, like finding your other sources. So
What were some other things that got better, like early sobriety evolving into now? You had a couple more kids. What were some other things you did? Like you started getting into fitness again and all that. And
yeah, I mean, with the sports background that I had, like all throughout high school, I played college for like maybe a semester, and then I had my head up my ex's butt. So
yeah,
I quit sports and was doing that. But yeah, just getting back into it, and I think like I try to tell people like if I come across in like recovery that aren't really into the fitness or never have been, it's like that's probably some of the best, therapy right there.
yeah,
Just getting back into the gym was like a huge game changer for me because not only like recovery was great and everything, but like the nighttime, like having that outlet and having a place to go to where you can just like be there and just deal with the shit that's going on in your head and work out.
yeah.
It's like it was just so instrumental in my recovery for sure.
Good,
Yeah.
good, good, good. That's awesome. So I see on your profile you go by Sober Dad Nick. So you tell me about what you kind of stuff you post. I noticed there's really cool things like I saw a video about you being a best man and giving a speech sober and stuff. Like, so I'm assuming all your relationships have improved and people obviously don't have to worry about you coming to events anymore and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of content and stuff are you putting out there for people?
I've always been like the goofball, funny guy in the family and in school and stuff. And so I try to keep it light, like when I post, and I try to find the humor in my pain, really. It's like the stuff that I've gone through is like really horrific. And the stuff that I've caused to my friends and my family, it's like I'm ashamed of it, but it's I don't let it define who I am. Like so I try to be as humorous as I can, but then also too like I like to put out just informational shit, stuff that I think like if I was like in early sobriety, like I would like to know, or like, or stuff that like when I was in early sobriety, like I listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to, a lot of like social media stuff, and I try to find stuff that just like more motivates people to like try to make that decision. Because there was a lot of things like I can't think of off my head, but there was a lot of times where like I gained a lot of inspiration from podcasts and different posts too. So I don't know. It's like it's just my way of like giving it back. It's like I want to show my gratitude through sharing my experience and my strengths and hopes. So
Good.
yeah.
That's awesome. So looking back, were there some things that you finally addressed in your recovery that you looking back, like say your parents separating or just some of the trauma you might have been numbing even with your ex-girlfriend, back from high school and all that stuff. Did you kind of work through all those things,
Yeah.
process them?
Yeah. I think, again, straight from recovery, it's like, we're taught to take accountability and ownership of our, of our part in everything. And I think that was just the biggest, it was like the main hurdle for me. But once I had the mind to actually process that and do it, it wasn't a challenge for me. I've always, have a lot of humility, but I think just not being in the right mindset back then, I wasn't mentally or emotionally mature enough to do that. So getting sober, like really just opened up the ability to do that. And it was like it was kind of like a apply all situation for me, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm in all these situations because of my drinking and using. It wasn't anybody else, or it wasn't anything that I happened. Like my dad always had a saying during my shit. He was like, you know what, Nick, I don't give a fuck. All right. Woe is me. Woe is me. Everybody's got problems. And it's true. It's like
Yeah. My dad
everybody.
would say the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just the poor me attitude gets us nowhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there, have you ever had any moments of almost weakness in recovery where you almost thought, the day got so rough that you almost did something and you had to stop yourself? And how did you do that?
In early sobriety, like that first year, definitely. There was times where, especially like, because relationships aren't perfect, we're going to have hurdles that we got to jump over. So that first year, me and my wife, back together, there were some things where it was just kind of like, I thought we were over this. Like, what are we doing? And So yeah, again, it was reaching out to people and venting about it rather than just letting it manifest and fester in my head and and then also too like throwing myself into the gym and throwing myself into the kids. Like if me and her were having issues, I would take a step back and just focus on the kids and sobriety again. Like, okay, what got me here to this point, and let's keep doing more of that. Because I didn't want to go backwards anymore. I was
Yeah,
over
you
it.
know what the results are gonna be if you do
Yeah,
it, so,
yeah,
yeah. That's what I look at it as. I'm like, "Man, this day sucks," and I'm, like, obviously thinking that a drink will just numb everything and make everything better, but then I'm like, "Do I really wanna go back to jail? Do I really wanna go back to the hospital? Do I really
yeah,
want?" 'Cause I know it's gonna happen. It's never gonna
yeah.
be just one drinking instance,
Exactly.
I'm gonna go all in for months, yeah.
No, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the great thing of like being able to play back that tape, like they say, it's like
Yeah, replay the tape,
yeah,
yeah,
we know now, it's like
exactly.
even if today sucks, it's like my
Yeah.
worst sober day is still 10 times better than my worst drunk or high day, I mean
Yeah,
my best drunk or high day.
so true,
Yeah.
yeah, especially what was I gonna say? But what other things are you doing to maintain your sobriety now? Are you going to meetings? Do you
Yeah.
work with other people? How do you do that
Yeah. So
stuff?
I still attend the same meeting that got me sober. It's a 5:30 a.m. morning meeting, my
Nice.
time.
Early bird meeting.
Yeah, early bird. It's on Zoom, which is nice. And I know there's like in recovery or in the community, it's like there's those like old timers that just hate Zoom, and then
I know.
it's a good mix of stuff. But it's like things are evolving, things are changing. But it's like it's been such an instrumental thing for a lot of people. I feel like just having the access. There's like you could log on anywhere in the world, and there's a fucking meeting going on. So it's like that's been I think people should look at it from that perspective. Uh, but
That's true.
yeah,
I join meetings in the South sometimes, and
yeah,
sometimes over in the East Coast,
yeah,
sometimes in different countries, and I'm just kind of like, this is cool. I'm included.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like we're all, we could be from different walks of life from all over the world, but it's like we're still here for one purpose, and it's really cool. It's a cool club to be a part of.
That's
So,
good.
yeah,
So you're doing that, and then yeah, it seems like you're bringing humor into people's lives with your content, which I really appreciate. And
yeah.
then, what's it like being your name is Sober Dad Nick on Instagram. So are you trying to kind of promote being a good dad and that it is possible to uh, be great in fatherhood, in recovery and stuff, and that all the past stuff you put behind you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my main mission is like if I can help other parents out there, that were in my situation, either whether that be dealing with infidelity, dealing with sobriety and how that looks like on your day to day. Cause like I had a crash course, dude, like being a co-parent, having to still maintain a job with a long work commute and then still focus on trying to get sober. It was like I did everything like all in one shot together. And, it's just like if I can help somebody else, and then, it feels my recovery and feels my soul. Cause it feels so good to be able to offer and be vulnerable with strangers. And then they can, there's been so many people that reached out and like, thank you so much for sharing this. Like I really needed this today. And that just, keeps me going, like wanting to do more of it. Cause
Yeah.
like, even if it just reached one person, like that's enough for me. If we can,
That's what I say about this podcast. If
yeah,
it reaches one person or one person, I mean, I got that satisfaction in just a few weeks in when somebody said, they're listening to it on the way to work and it's helping them. And I'm just like, I've already
yeah,
found this successful. I don't care if I get 1 million views per
yeah,
episode. It's all about helping somebody.
no, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So, final question.
Hmm.
What advice for my listeners that are sober curious, new in recovery, still struggling out there? What advice would you give from your personal experience as a dad and as a former alcoholic addict?
I think first and foremost, like just think about the kids. Try to take yourself out of it for a moment, and just think about looking at you from your kids' eyes. Like, towards the end of my drinking career, like my mom pulled me aside one day and was like, "You realize your daughter asked me the other day why daddy's acting funny again?" And that crushed me, and that was like right around like the time that I was ready to to change. So just putting your kids first, man. Like as an alcoholic, like I'm selfish and self-centered, and I only think about me, like what I want to do. And I convince myself that like what I'm doing is only affecting me. I don't,
Yeah.
when I'm in it, I don't realize that it's affecting everybody else around me and even extensions of the people of my circle. Yeah, first and foremost, if you're a parent, like definitely like think about your kids. And then also too, like, pick your tough, pick your hard. Like, do you want to keep running from your current situation and just deal with it for the rest of your life because you never address it and you just cover it up? Or do you want to just deal with it for a little while, stay strong and get better, But yeah, I think that would be the only advice, and definitely have an open mind for sure. Cause for me, I tried every which way not to, I wouldn't say every which way, but for the most part in the beginning, like I didn't want to put the work in, and I didn't want to hear anybody else's suggestions or anything. I was like, I got this. I could do it.
Same. Yeah. I did that for the first 90 days and I relapsed after that 90 days
Hmm.
and then had to restart my time. But I relapsed for like 2.5 months, all because I just thought I didn't really need to. I still went in with the same attitude into those meetings and stuff
Hmm.
and still thought I knew everything. And I was like, no, whatever. I'm not drinking and I'm going to these meetings. That's enough. But I wasn't working on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't trying to change anything.
I was the same exact way, dude. And it's like, for that first year of like relapse after relapse, I get a couple weeks relapse, get a couple months relapse, get, almost 6 months relapse. And it, yeah, after like the final one, it was like somebody said, come in here and just shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
come in here and just listen for a while. You get called on, like pass and
Take the
just,
cotton balls out of your
yeah,
ears.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So it was a lot of that, man, just having an open mind and yeah, listen. And I think that's the great thing about Zoom too. Like, I don't want to push Zoom on anybody or be like a Zoom recovery thumper, but like
The
for
click of a button to
dude,
get support.
that, not only that, like for me, like going into a live meeting, especially court ordered and everything, it was like the first day of school. Like I'm like nervous, I'm kind of
Yeah.
shy, like I feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable as fuck. So like having Zoom, like being able to go in there and like just have my camera off and just listen, like just
Mhm.
being able to listen to the message and listen to people's stories, like I had such comfortability that allowed me to like just calm my nerves, listen, and like, man, like I really relate to that person. Oh man, that makes so much sense. And then I was able to like slowly just get into it. So that's why I'm just like, I'm a big fan of Zoom.
Awesome. No,
Yeah.
I love it. I use it as well, even though I go to a in-person meeting every day, but I still check out the Zoom meetings all the time just
Yeah.
because I get to hear so many fresh perspectives.
No, yeah. Yeah. Moving out to this area where we bought our house. I went to a couple live meetings out here, and yeah, it's I mean, the live meetings are still great, but yeah.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And if you can shout out your Instagram name again from you, because I already said it once, but I'll let you say it.
Yeah, Sober Dad Nick. I don't think there's any special characters or anything, but yeah, Sober Dad Nick. If you want to have a good laugh or get a little bit of inspiration, jump on in and check me out.
All right.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for the invite. I remember I was telling you on the DMs, like I remember initially seeing you on TikTok, and then
Yeah.
I haven't really been on TikTok too much, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it was cool.
I don't spend too much time on TikTok
Yeah.
as much just because I don't know. I just like the way Instagram's set up. But every now and again, I'll update TikTok. I'm just not on there enough. But it's hard to maintain social media stuff.
Yeah. And dude, I love what you're doing, man. This is one thing I wanted to do too. I had an idea with me and my buddy, but it's
You'd be great at it.
It's a lot of work. So it's like hats off
Yeah.
to you, man. I know how.
Thank you. It is a ton of work.
Yeah.
Really time consuming, and
Yeah.
not only just getting people on the show, it's scheduling and stuff, but editing and posting and getting the episodes up. It's like, whoa, a whole day just went by.
It's already super professional, and you have a good setup, man. So hats off to you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you being on and appreciate you sharing your story and being vulnerable and talking about some difficult stuff. And I think my listeners will find this really helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, man. If anybody has any questions or ever wants to reach out, I'm always following up and messaging back. So, yeah, dude.
Awesome.
Pleasure
All
meeting
right.
you, Ryan.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right, take care, bud.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.